Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Welcome to this morning Toronto time session. I'm very pleased to see everyone here. My name is Franklin Smith. I'm Executive Director of ISAC, and I'm pleased to be joined this morning by our ISAC staff team, all of which I'm sure you know either by name and or personally. We have on the meeting today as well our Manager of Communications, Heather Stonehouse. We also have our Conference 2020 Sponsorship Specialist, Judy Shapiro, and our Conference 2020 Exhibitor Sales Specialist, Tony Nieder. So guys, why don't you pop on and say hello to everyone?
Hi, everybody.
So before we get started, we have, one individual who is on the meeting who's indicated that they can't hear anything. So just bear with me while I help this person out. Okay, so while we're trying to work through that, I also want to keep the meeting moving forward because I want to be obviously respectful of everyone's time. So just to start with, I want to certainly acknowledge the fact that we're all connecting today from different parts of the world. And we are all seeing some very unprecedented times that we're all living through. So it is certainly our hope from Isaac's perspective that everyone is well and healthy and is able to stay that way. And just like we here in Toronto are currently under a state of emergency where all non-essential businesses are to be closed. We are all working remotely. And so we also hope that wherever you are in the world, you are abiding by your local, regional, and or national health, safety, travel restrictions that may be in place. So with that having been said, I'm sure all of you are here because of your connection to Isaac, and I'm not going to spend. I do have a brief PowerPoint which you see up on the screen. I'm not going to spend a huge amount of time on this because I want to give some opportunity for an exchange of questions, answers, suggestions. And to that point, as questions or comments come up, please do feel free to type those questions into the GoToWebinar question pane that you will see in the GoToWebinar control panel. Because of the way the audio works, it's just too cumbersome if everyone's mic is open and there'll be too much noise. And it just becomes an ineffective way to run a meeting. So by all means, type your questions or comments into the question pane, and we'll see them and we'll be able to address them. So for sure, Isaac is the only international organization that is solely dedicated to the field of AAC and for encompassing all the different facets of the field, and that includes people who use AAC, their families, professionals, researchers, and of course, you guys are very much appreciated sponsors and exhibitors. And one of the key ways in which Isaac tries to push forward knowledge and awareness of the field of AAC. One of the important ways for which all of you are here today is because of our biennial conferences. And as you are all familiar, and as I alluded to earlier, we're seeing some quite unprecedented times, particularly our friends over in Europe, in Spain, Italy, our friends in the United States are seeing some very difficult times these days. And it's because of this situation, which you can see on your screen now, and the number of cases and the unfortunate number of deaths that we're seeing, that Western economies have essentially shut themselves down to only essential economies, only to essential industries. International travel is severely limited or eliminated altogether. And national borders, we see it here in North America, we see it in Europe, are essentially closed to essential traffic only. I never thought I would see the day as a Canadian where the Canada-US border was closed to only essential traffic, but we're seeing that today, and likewise in of course, Europe. So that sort of has some pretty significant implications for Conference 2020. And we wanted to, of course, be very proactive in how we approach this. And the Isaac Executive Board and the Conference 2020 leadership team spent quite a bit of time prior to making any final conclusions, but based on all of the best information that was available to the Conference 2020 leadership team, and based on their recommendations and our recommendations, the Isaac Executive Board at a special meeting on March 26 decided that it is not possible to hold Conference 2020 during its originally scheduled dates of August 1st through the 6th of this year, in a way that protects the health and safety of all of our stakeholders, and in particular, people who use AAC, their families, and their personal support networks. And I want to reiterate that single reason was the primary reason for this decision, was purely health and safety related. And of course, obviously, given all of the border and travel restrictions in place, it's just physically not possible for people to travel to Mexico, and we get that. So as a result, the Isaac Executive Board approved a postponement, not a cancellation, but a postponement of Conference 2020, and the new dates have been scheduled. They are July 31st through August 5th of next year, 2021. The good news is that pretty much everything else, other than those dates, stays the same. The conference is still going to be held, is still planned to be held in Cancun. We're still planning to hold it at the Cancun International Convention Center. We have an agreement in place with the Convention Center for those new dates. And we're working very hard with all of our local service providers as well. And I have to say that everyone's been very, very good to work with and very understanding, given the situation. So we're planning July 31st and August 1st to have our AAC camp pre-conference workshops, executive and council meetings, and then the main conference itself will be held between August 2nd through the 5th of 2021 next year. So, as I said, those rescheduled dates are now confirmed with the Cancun ICC. We have advised all of the conference hotels of the postponement, and they have all confirmed that any reservations that have been placed for this July, August can be canceled with no penalty. We are in the process of arranging the room blocks with the very same conference hotels for our rescheduled conference dates in 2021. And as I said, we're working with all the other local suppliers, and we already have a commitment in place to host the pre-conference workshops and the social event at venues outside of the Cancun ICC as they were originally planned for anyway. So that's all taking shape nicely. We are certainly going to be any individual or groups of individuals who have submitted a paper for Conference 2020 and whose paper was accepted. Their paper is still accepted for the conference when it happens next year. Now, we recognize that there are going to be situations where papers are no longer in a position to be presented because of the year delay. So the Conference 2020 Scientific Committee is certainly planning on making an additional call for papers opportunity to be offered, and we're going to be releasing that information as we proceed through the summer. We're currently connecting with you guys to offer enhanced marketing opportunities starting now right through till August 2021. And I have to say we've already started that effort. We held a very well attended webinar last night that was given by our good friends from Assistiveware, Amanda Hartman from Brisbane, Australia, presented a great webinar last night, and the recording of that has already been posted in the archived webinar section of the ISAC website. So by all means, do check that out. But it is certainly our intent to offer that type of opportunity as well to any other sponsor who wants to take advantage of that. As far as conference registrations are concerned, we are able to anyone who has paid for a conference registration, ISAC will 100% accept that payment and that registration for the conference next year. ISAC further guarantees that there will be no additional charges, rate increases, service charges, whatever. If you have a paid registration for the conference, you're good for next year for 2021. We also understand that some people may want a refund and may want to cancel their registration. So we are also offering full refunds for anyone who is in that situation. And we are offering those full refunds through till May 29th of this year, 2020, in keeping with our previously announced conference cancellation policies. We're also going to be making available the early bird conference registration rate right through till the end of the year. But just keep in mind, and we've already informed all of our membership that registration rates themselves are subject to increase after May 29th, and that could also include the early bird rate. So the bottom line is, if you've paid for a registration and if you're in a position to be able to just keep that registration in place, you're good to go. Otherwise, you can always cancel and repurchase a registration at a later date if needed. Okay, so specifically with sponsors and exhibitors, what is it that we're looking to achieve today? Well, ISAC is, we want to offer all of our sponsors with immediate access to what we call the ISAC sponsored webinar series. And this is really a value-added benefit which will allow you guys direct access to all of our stakeholders around the world. And as I alluded to, our webinar yesterday, in fact, had participants in it from every continent, with the exception of Antarctica. So it was well attended, and it was a really good cross section of the field. So we're certainly offering that opportunity to any sponsor who wants to take advantage. We have information up on the webinar section of our website for how to do that. And if you have any questions, by all means, just send me out an email. But we'd love to book you guys in for webinars starting immediately and going all the way through 2020 and all the way up to the conference in 2021. We're also currently working with the chair of our lead committee, or what we call the people who use AAC committee, Lateef McLeod of the US. And we're going to be offering a moderated social live virtual hangout for adults who use AAC, and it's going to be taking place on Google Hangouts as well. So it's a nice informal way for people who use AAC to, kick back and chat and share ideas and share how they're doing. Just a way to stay connected. We're investigating developing a similar model for young people as well. And we're also in the process of offering direct assistance to our chapters in the sense of membership support, support for subscriptions to our scientific journal, AAC, and that helps sponsors and exhibitors by making sure that everyone stays connected and everyone has opportunities to stay connected and be up on what's happening in the field. We're also wanting to provide sponsors and exhibitors with no additional cost advertising opportunities in both the 2020 and 2021 membership directory. So we've done this in the past in our conference year, but we're going to be doing it for both 2020 and 2021 now as a way of giving you guys just another opportunity to get out in front of all of our stakeholders. For sponsors and exhibitors, all of the benefits that we have previously indicated you get as a sponsor or an exhibitor for the conference, those are going to be extended right through to the conference when it happens next year. So we're trying our best to, as I said, give you lots of opportunities. And for our sponsored travel assistance grants, those have already been communicated. Those have already been partially distributed, and those will be maintained for the rescheduled conference date. So anyone who has been notified that they are going to be a recipient of a sponsored travel assistance grant, they'll continue to get that financial support for the conference for next year. So we are continuing to update the website. We are making all the information available at the conference 2020, primarily the conference 2020 section of the website. So just navigate to our homepage, isaac-online.org, and click on the conference 2020 tab at the top, and that will take you to that page. So at this point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open it up to you guys. If you have questions, thoughts, suggestions, I'm also going to suggest that Heather, Judy, and Tony get involved as well from the perspective of social media opportunities for sponsors and exhibitors, what sorts of things sponsors and exhibitors might be interested in seeing, and if there are any other sponsorship or exhibitor ideas that you guys might like to get us thinking about as well. I'll let you know that we are also continuing our own thought process here as a staff team in Toronto, and we're coming up with a number of different ideas for different types of hosted webinar sessions. Perhaps an initial idea that has just been thought about today, and I'll let Judy talk about it a little bit more detail, would be to try and even get some form of panel discussion going of companies that represent software or devices in the field, along with professionals in the field, to even deal with questions that might come up from people who use AAC or their family members. So there's a bunch of different things that we're thinking about, but the ultimate idea is to provide you guys, our sponsors and exhibitors, with as many opportunities as possible for connecting with our stakeholder groups. So at this point, if you have questions or comments, feel free to type them into the question pane. We will see them, we'll be able to read them out and address them. And Heather, Judy, Tony, is there anything I neglected to mention or anything that you guys would like to jump in at this point with? Can everyone still hear me out there?
Well, I guess that just proves that you covered everything pretty well. I think I don't have too much to add, but just wanted to mention that, you know, because of the situation, so many companies and organizations and individuals have just jumped online, and that's a good thing. But there's also maybe a sense of overwhelming people with information. So from what I've seen, really targeted webinars and information is, of course, you know, important and useful, like the use of AAC in ICUs, medical settings. I don't have to tell you guys that. And homeschooling for kids also, I think, is really important, and people can use all the help they can get for sure. So that's all from me.
Hi, Judy here. I would like to add just a couple things. First, I want to say thank you to everybody, and I'm wishing you all to keep safe and your families as well. I just want to clarify a couple things. Instead of just having sponsored webinars during AAC Awareness Month, this would be a coordinated effort where if you are interested in participating in a non-salesy type webinar, just please whip me an email and just let me know that your company would be interested in what your webinar would like to focus on. And this will be something that can run. We'll just plan it and coordinate it and in a scheduled manner throughout the given year so we can spread it out. so as not to overwhelm people and bombard people, but it also is intended as a value-added opportunity in this year for people who are currently sponsors, as an opportunity to keep you in the forefront, and as a special thank you. Exhibitors who have any thoughts of perhaps wanting to jump on this particular opportunity, you're more than welcome. Please whip me an email and let me know that that's something you'd be interested in. It is not an expensive opportunity. It's very reasonable, I believe, and it allows for you to reach a huge audience or global audience. The other opportunity that Franklin alluded to a few minutes ago, the thought is if companies were to, okay, look, I'm going to backtrack for a second. If we were to hold a panel discussion with the various companies, this would be open to current exhibitors and sponsors, a no cost value added opportunity, again, where panelists, you would decide who would represent your company, and we'd have a select group of panelists and SLPs and whatnot representing the people who are recommending products to their users, and if we could have sort of open it up to the global audience, we would probably have to have a couple of sessions perhaps on the same day, such as what we're doing today, but where you could describe, along with the SLPs and the AAC professionals who actually work with folks who use AAC, to offer solutions and answer questions for people who are just starting their AAC journey, whether it's a child and a parent is overwhelmed and doesn't know what to do, what's out there, how to find it, what to do, or someone who is in a declining situation where their need for technology changes and evolves as their issue progresses. So these are the kinds of things I think it would be really powerful, because I thought about this only because, you know, in meeting with just even a friend who said, oh, you know, somebody I know has a child who has who cannot communicate and cannot speak and all of that. I said, well, there's all kinds of technology out there, and it's like, I think this person is probably overwhelmed by not knowing where to reach out to first and what to do. So that would help people and to figure out what to do and what the solutions are and how to access that information. And also serves to support Isaac's one of Isaac's mandate, namely to create a worldwide awareness about how AAC can help those living with complex communication needs. And this could be promoted on all exhibitors and sponsors websites to get it out and push it out for your followers and people on social media who follow you to participate in this type of webinar, educational in nature. And Isaac, of course, would push it out as well. And I also want to mention that we'll also be pushing out sending people directly, if they want more information about a particular product or what have you, they can always visit our exhibitor page and see who's doing what and what products they offer and that sort of thing. So it's going to be a collaborative, but does that, I'm interested in your feedback, please, about the webinar offering and the panel participation and that sort of thing. Thank you.
So just to build on that, we've had some questions coming in, and the questions coming in also relate to this idea of the panel discussion. So one of the questions is, what is the target audience for the panel discussion? I think we have a conception on our end of wanting to make sure that we reach out to people who use AAC or to families who are in the situation of needing to find out more information about what even AAC is and what it can do for them. But the bottom line with this concept of the panel discussion is that we want to hear your feedback. So if you have specific ideas, thoughts around target audience, around dates, around focusing it, as Heather indicated, to a particular part of the discussion, that's the kind of information that we want to hear back from you guys. So by all means, feel free to email me, Franklin at isaac-online.org, or Judy, or Heather, or Tony. We're happy to take that feedback, and we commit to at least circling back with you guys as we configure this and move this forward. So we have another question, and this one relates to social media. So Heather, perhaps you may want to take this one. The question is, I would like to know what social media opportunities Isaac is considering.
Well, we have our platforms that are fairly they're well used. Our Twitter has about 4,000 followers, and Facebook International 2,200. The Build AAC is about 800. So whatever you want pushed out on social media, we can absolutely do that to our people. And other than that, it's, again, we'd like to hear from you, because if there's something like a Facebook Live or a, Instagram Live or something like that that you think would be helpful, we'd be happy to participate with you on that.
And the other thing is that might be something that sponsors may want to support this webinar, this hangout sponsored by whomever, that sort of thing. That's that would be a small opportunity. I mean, in terms of a financial commitment, but it would be a great opportunity to get the message out that you're supporting this initiative. So that's another option.
Okay, thank you, Judy and Heather. We've been receiving a number of thank yous from people on the line today, so thanking us for what we're doing in reaching out and what we're doing in trying to deal with the current circumstances. So we appreciate those comments, and we're very sincere in wanting to give our sponsors and exhibitors whose contributions to Isaac we definitely value and highly value. We're very sincere in wanting to provide you guys with the maximum benefit that we possibly can. We also have another thank you from one of our sponsors and exhibitors who is indicating that they would be very interested in presenting an aspect to their program, and they'd love to reach out to us in the next few weeks and connect with our Build committee, which is the committee that works at furthering the field of AAC within emerging countries. So by all means, please do reach out to me on that, and I will happily connect you up with our Build committee. So that would be great. I mean, I can see all sorts of really, really cool stuff that comes out of this, and if we can give you guys being our sponsors and exhibitors, a platform for being involved with this, it's a win-win-win all around. So if there are, hopefully there are going to be some additional questions and comments. If there are, great. We'll give another couple of minutes for that, and we'll also give another couple of minutes if Heather, Judy, or Tony have anything else that they would like to add. So by all means, feel free. We'll give it another minute or two.
I have another concept which by no means would be able to be rolled out at this point in time, given the focus of the global pandemic. However, at some point, it would be really great for the field. In my opinion, you may not agree, but that's okay. It would be helpful that to have a major contact provided to Isaac to send out to media, like let's say the medical specialist at your national news team or what have you, so that if we can push something like that out to the people who represent the television stations in particular about AAC and so on, and they can do a feature on that at some point, that would be a really great way, I think, to promote the field and make people awareness, a general awareness, and certainly incent people who might be needing assistance to contact Isaac International, and we could then triage that particular question and send it out to people who could support the answer to that question from a technology standpoint. So that's just a thought, but right now that's not in the cards at the moment, but it's just an idea.
I'd like to add that in addition to our social media channels, we have our more traditional newsletter, the Isaac Communicator, and there's always space for, promoting information from sponsors and exhibitors. And also the annual membership directory is coming up. We usually distribute that in July. So they're both online, but they're a little more structured communication formats that our members expect. And so if there's any contributions to that, please get in touch.
All right, so thank you very much, everyone. We appreciate your time. We appreciate your comments and your feedback. And this is by no means the end of the discussion. This is actually the beginning of the discussion. We want to hear from all of you. If some amazing idea hits you 5 minutes after we end the webinar, by all means, send any one of us or all of us an email. That's the whole point, is communication, and keeping those communication lines open. And as we said, giving all of our sponsors and exhibitors as big and as long a platform as we possibly can to stay connected. So I will end by thanking everyone for their time, and we will stay in touch, and we will be circling back with you on all of this. And thanks for your contribution, and thanks for your continued contribution, and stay safe, everyone. Take care.